All right. So Kim. Oh God, I can't think of her name. Um, she's a YouTuber who has a fairly sizable following. She's very intelligent. Thinks things through uh, well, and she was talking about CNN's town hall with Andrew Yang. Now, I haven't liked Yang. Not from right off the gate. I don't like Yang, and Yang is not a problem solver. He has no real solutions. His universal basic income idea has so many friggin' holes. It's ridiculous. Yang is using universal basic income, uh, and he's talking about uh, eliminating other factors without consideration of what eliminating those other factors will have. Now, the whole problem is that you have the haves and have-nots. All right, Bernie Sanders, $15 minimum. There are many issues with that one because again, you have the haves and have-nots, and I'm not talking about money. I'm talking about who has control of the means of production and the lands and the infrastructure. So, in order to get a society that works with money, where you have money is the driving factor on what basically dictates what sort of lifestyle or what sort of condition or class that you must exist in under a monetary system, and the and those who have control of the means of production and the ownership of infrastructure and lands, then you will always have the massive unequal uh, unequal situation, always, and it will only get worse and worse and worse, and more people will be left to a pauper status, or if you basically serfs and peasants. That is what a monetary system that has no controls on the greed and illogical insanity that many libertarians seem to espouse, and Republicans and the conservatives and the corporate Democrats do. That will always bring about injustice, inequality, a tiered system where there are those who must follow the rules and laws, even though many of those rules and laws are purposely put in place to knock down and to restrict and basically put you in a box, and where the consequences for actions that are called crime, all right, are made to be arbitrarily handed out to those who are knocked down, who go lower and lower and lower, and where the ones with the means of production and the means of control of lands and resources are exempt. That is a monetary system. That is capitalism. That is how it works. That is how it is engineered to work. And in that system, there is no need to have a greater middle class, because that is not necessary. A smaller middle class, a smaller upper middle class, meaning those who make high six figures, okay, those are necessary, but only in a smaller and smaller and smaller degree. Enough to so influence and keep control of the system that gives exemption to those with exceptional high monetary and means of production control. That is how it works. You cannot have a system of justice, you cannot have a system of equality, and you cannot have any semblance of sanity in a system like that. That is what is called fascism. Fascism and capitalism are equal. That is how it works. They work in parallel with each other. So it's not feasible to have a system like that without controls, responsible, logical controls on the means of production and ownership. That is the only way a monetary system will have any semblance of sanity, of logic, of logical reasoning that forces a level of ethics and morality which brings about true justice and equality. Otherwise, all you are doing is pounding your fist against against a concrete wall or a mountain, however you want to put it. That's all it is. You can scream. Think about it this way: when your class, the majority of your class is the ones who are being knocked down, and think about it in this terms, you are standing in front of a boulder, yelling at it, telling it to break, which brings me to that scene in the movie Dune, where they're screaming at this gigantic stone, telling it to break. Well, you can scream at it as loud as you want, but it's not going to break. It's completely useless. Well, that's exactly what it is. You can't order a mountain to move. You can't order a river to change a course, and you can't order any of those. They are completely illogical, irrational, and that is what capitalism is. There is no reason or rhyme to it. It knocks down connections to reality. It makes people believe in divine right. It perpetuates the idea of leadership and and God, I can't think of the word. Privilege. That is what a monetary system that, as I just described, creates. A monetary system that works, but still partitions and puts people in class, in levels of class, which is basically nothing more than a pyramid scheme. Uh, uh, you'll always have a level of inequality, but you'll have a more reasonable level. People still won't be able to. Vast majority won't be able to have everything, even with a more reasonable monetary system where there's a level of restriction and for for a rational monetary system, but at least it will cut back on some of the more harmful, more insane, more arbitrary, and basically evil edicts that come out of an insane capitalistic monetary system. That's that's how it works. You need to have control. You need to have levels of rational, sane, ethical controls. Otherwise, you get what we have been living under for thousands of years. It's what brings down, it's what brings down empires and the so-called empires, like Rome, like the Mongol Empire, the Roman Empire, the every empire in history always under a insane monetary system always brings an excess of privilege, of insane privilege, and a degradation of connection to reality, and the loss of empathy, morality, and ethics. So that's what I cannot. That's why Andrew Yang is not as intelligent. He is not as connected, and he has no real solutions. And he just doesn't. He's not. He doesn't have a level of thought capable, because he lacks a concrete idea of what empathy and rationale and reasoning that can see beyond. In a monetary system that I'm talking about, the one that works better, you need to have people who can think in terms of not just a few years or a decade, but longer, far longer term. And you need to have people who are self-conscious, self-aware, and woke, educated, and who can dream and think beyond themselves and beyond being just clever animals who use clever tools. You need to have a broadening of what dreams and aspirations can be, and that cannot happen in any form of monetary system. But at least with my version of the monetary system, you will at least broaden the horizons slightly for what dreams and aspirations can be. And so, anyways, that's basically that in a nutshell. That's why I don't agree with Andrew Yang. That's why I don't agree with Bernie Sanders' $15 minimum. Because there has not been enough thought into it, and there has been no will behind it to put into action so that others can think beyond the stilted way too many of us think in terms of what life is. We lose meaning, we lose purpose in that sort of life. If all your life is consisting of, talking about rumors or the weather or who's going out with who, or what TV series or book you read, or we must have purpose. We must have instill in ourselves a a uh, a a drive to understand more about ourselves, uh, about our communities, about the very home and planet that we live on, and what how in the system, current system, it restricts, and what we need to restricts and truncates, and what we need to do to progress and evolve and move forward so that we can have greater aspirations, we can have greater dreams, we can wake up and be excited. That's that's a system. That's the purpose that we humans have. That's the meaning of life. Getting up, being excited, knowing that there are more dreams, more aspirations, and having a natural drive and will to broaden our horizons. That's that's purpose, that's meaning, that's life. And that brings with it happiness, that brings with it contentment, that brings with it all of it. That is purpose. And we need purpose.